Here are a few things I'd like you to consider before building a stairway, some type of a path with a lumber. Looks like it's pressure treated. I'm guessing 6x6s. Could be 8x8s, but they're probably 6x6s. And it's not uncommon to see people use railroad ties for something like this. But if you are going to build a path like this, there are a few things I'd like you to consider, and that would be the erosion and the maintenance that you're going to end up with over time with a stairway like this. The wood will need to be replaced eventually. It will either rot or split or become a safety hazard. Sometimes they will warp and bow. I have the perfect example of that. I think it's right down here in the video or in the pictures. The problem is that the soil on the hillside is always going to want to come into the path. It might require a retaining wall. If you're looking for a natural look, you want to use some rocks. Don't forget that the rocks usually have gaps in between them, and those gaps usually allow the soil to come into the path or the stairway. Not uncommon to have something like this. We can see it in almost every step. The water comes down the side of the hillway, runs along the piece of wood, kind of traps it. And, we start with a little lip. Eventually it gets larger. And all the water that's coming in this direction and all the water that's coming in this direction, from this direction, basically is going to get stopped here. Some of it's going to go over. Most of it's going to get stopped and then erode most of this, creating a trip hazard for something like this. Eventually, you're going to need to fill it up. Now, you're probably thinking, well, why not use gravel? Why not fill these areas with gravel? If you do, then the gravel eventually is going to fill up with debris and dirt. So you're going to have dirt that's coming off of the hillside. It's going to be rolling right on top of the gravel. You're going to need to pull the gravel up, clean it, remove the dirt, put it back in there. And then, of course, you're not going to keep the water that goes in, soaks into the gravel on the path on this side. Eventually is going to work its way down to the soil. And if you don't have anything supporting it on this side, like some rocks and retaining walls, or some type of a wood retaining wall, then the soil underneath the gravel is going to erode. So I'm not a big fan of using gravel. I like the way this path looks, by the way. It is pressure treated lumber, and or at least it looks like it. And I don't want to say that it is 100% and find out someone just threw some light green stain on a regular lumber, but looks like it. And the wood eventually is going to need to be replaced. If it doesn't rot, it could actually split. You can see this one here doesn't look like it's in good shape, and this one, of course, up here is in horrible shape. But you can see the soil coming down here into the path, and this is just going to keep coming in here unless they remove some of it from the side. Here's the 6x6, it looks like. And it's just getting beat up here. And this is one we did just look at. That's right, because this one here looks like it has a crack right here. This one here looks like it's kind of hammered here. It's going to need to be replaced. But why not leave it in there? It adds to the look of the path, I guess. Here we can see the soil, even if it's not eroding. The soil is coming down. It probably, the erosion, the water brings it down here, builds up over time, and then just falls over onto the sides also. So again, I'm not trying to scare you from building a path like this. I like this. It was a fun path to walk on. It was at one of our local parks, and if you're looking for something, you don't want to put concrete in there. You don't want to put gravel. You want something to look more natural. Something like this, it will work just fine. It's going to need to be maintained. And how often it needs to be maintained will all depend upon the area you live in. And this might be another thing to consider. If you live in an area where it rains a lot and you do get a lot of erosion, you might not even want to build a stairway like this. You might want to use concrete or put some type of a retaining wall. Rocks, I'm not a big fan of on something like this. The rocks allow the soil to get through. If you could use rocks for your retaining wall and you're going to use a wider row of rocks, something like that might work, but that might also take away from the natural look you're trying to get. So anyway, don't want to beat this one here to death. I hope it helps, and if it does, don't forget to hit the old thumbs up button and watch more of our videos. That is how we get some extra money here to make more of them. So thanks for watching, and it is off to the next one.